The Stanley Hotel looms like a sentinel in the heart of the Rockies, its stately facade hiding a history steeped in the supernatural. Beneath its polished floors and elegant halls lies a chilling truth. This grand old hotel is alive with spirits from its dark past, from the spectral presence of a vengeful lord to ghostly children haunting the corridors. The whispers of unseen visitors, strange lights flickering in empty rooms, and the terrifying encounters that defy explanation all weave a tale of haunting that's impossible to ignore. Even Stephen King, during his fateful stay, felt the otherworldly pull of this haunted relic, an energy so potent it birthed The Shining, and yet the spirits of the Stanley still refuse to rest. Join us as we check in to one of the most haunted hotels in history. Will we be able to check out?
Hello and welcome to another shocking edition of the Deceptive Reality Podcast. My name is Nick, and with me is the Pert Bert.
The Pert Bert. You know what that reminds me of? There used to be a shampoo. I think it was called Pert.
Yeah. Pert shampoo and conditioner.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Do they still have that? Is that still a thing?
I've not seen it in a while, but it makes sense because Pert is like someone who's fresh and happy, sprightly.
So fresh and so
that's
clean.
That's kind of what you want.
Ain't nobody fresh as me. So fresh and so clean. Who sings that, Nick? Do you
missed your calling.
I know, man.
I don't know. I've heard it a million times. I don't know who that is.
Man, Nick, that hurts my soul. The amazing thing, because that was Outkast, by the way. But they also.
Oh no, I love Outkast.
Yeah, they did a collab with. What's the lady's name? For anyone that doesn't know, I'm slightly medicated on some meds. Okay, listen, my voice is not going to be 100%, but just FYI, it's not going to be.
It's fine.
It's fine. It'll work for now, but I may lose my voice depending on how much I talk. But some things, listen, I'm a little slow. Some of you guys will be like, even unmedicated, you're a little slow, and that's fine.
Oh, that's fine. That's not nice.
That is not nice.
Pert.
That is not pert. Just FYI.
Yeah.
But they did a collab with Fergie. Couldn't think of her name. They did a collab with Fergie there.
Yeah.
They did a lot of songs with Fergie, but they did one really big collab. And at the end of that song with her, they came in and did this. So fresh and so clean. Right. Anyway, no one cares about that. I care about it though.
Oh, well, the guy from that Andre 3000 or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what he does now?
I thought he was still a music producer. Is he not?
Oh, he's retired. All he does is he plays the flute just for fun.
What?
Yeah.
He's like the main character of Outkast. He's the main guy.
Right. He was also a pretty good actor as well because he was in that movie Be Cool.
Yep. He was.
With John Travolta.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know who is really revolutionizing the industry?
Who?
T-Pain. That man.
Really?
That man does so much. He did music, and then he went to streaming. He was a gaming streamer.
He popularized auto-tune. He had his own app for it.
He did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He also does drifting, car drifting. Did you know that?
What? I did not know that.
He either helped build or he built a drifting car. And then he came back and he did, what's the game show that's out where the Masked Singer, is that what that's called? Where they wear
I don't watch a lot of those.
Outfits. I don't either, but Jess watches them. But there's these singers and they wear like costumes every single week and they sing and people has to guess who they are.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen that, but that's cool that he's in that.
T-Pain won that, and I think it was like season 3 that he was on it, but he won that.
Wow.
And just recently he came back and started singing country music.
Everyone's moving into country music. Post Malone's doing that.
I think he does it because he loves
of the stuff.
He loves the genre, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing with him. Because a lot of people go, people go to country and they're just doing it for the paycheck. And I'm like, there ain't no paycheck in country, folks. Like, the paycheck's the genre they're in.
I think that like there is paychecks in country, but I don't think it's as frequently as other genres.
I don't
like
think
you got to
so.
be the top of the top for that.
Like, I feel if you're Post Malone, you're probably
Right. He
making
don't need
the bulk of your money.
He don't need the money anyway.
No, he really doesn't. I think he does it because he loves the craft.
You know what? Post Malone has got the Midas touch. If he goes to country, country will make him money. If he starts rapping, rapping will make him money. If he's an actor, acting will make him money. That guy is so nice and everyone loves him so much. There's only one person on the entire planet who doesn't like Post Malone.
Yep.
And that's that guy, Charlemagne.
Charlemagne, that's it.
Oh,
Charlemagne the God.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever.
Did you hear he gave Post Malone that because Post Malone was with his girl and on that interview he's having that talk.
Yes.
He was like, you just gotta be, and Post Malone was so dope about it. He was so cool about it. And then he was insulting what he did. And then Post Malone was just like so chill about it. So chill about it.
Yeah. It's like, it's not for everyone. Like, know, some people like it, some people don't.
Correct.
Post Malone is just a good guy. And you know what? He's so good, he's bulletproof. Because no one was on Charlemagne's side. No one.
Nobody.
And that guy, the only thing I know about him is he's a loser who hates Post Malone.
You have made
and I don't
Nick
care.
mad.
I am mad because Post Malone is a saint.
He really is a saint.
And people should treat him as such.
He really is.
He is.
I mean, think about it. He has a song with Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's had songs in Spider-Man movies.
Yes.
He's a good actor. He was in that new Roadhouse only for a little bit.
Doesn't matter how long.
But that was funny. Yeah.
Did you ever see?
No, he's a saint.
He had a wax figure of himself that he walked past and he thought it was an actual person. Yeah. He thought it was a person. Then he walked up to him and he's like, he's got a grill. He's like, that's me.
Oh, he's so cool. He was on like this show. I can't remember what it was. It was like one of those epic mealtime not epic mealtime. Good Mythical Morning.
Oh yeah,
he's been on that and he's so funny.
He's so funny.
And they made him like his favorite meals and it's like chicken fingers and stuff. He's so down to earth, man. This whole episode could be like us saying good things about Post Malone.
Oh,
there's
really
nothing bad you can say about him.
The way that I look at this, Nick, is one day when we're rich and famous people and like people that people come to and they're like, hey, I gotta talk to old Bert and Nick. One of them might be Post Malone one day, Nick.
And that would be sweet. He actually was involved with someone who was like had a Dybbuk box, and he was like, "I'm not touching that thing. I'm not touching that."
I can't say I blame him. I wouldn't touch it either.
No,
but
I would. But
he does love this kind of stuff, though. He loves anything that has to do with paranormal.
Yes,
big paranormal guy.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he'll be a guest star one day on our podcast, Nick.
Man, I don't even know what I'd say. I'd just be like, here, the show is yours.
Good old Nick. He'd get starstruck. Yeah. You know, that's the thing.
I would. That's probably the only person who I would get starstruck by. Like, I've met stars. I had like a shouting match with Demi Moore years ago. I don't like her.
You're not
Anthony
invited,
Anderson,
Demi Moore.
Very good guy. Love that guy. But, but Post Malone, I'd just be like, here's a chicken finger.
I made this for you. I heard you liked it on Good Mythical More.
Yeah. I spent all morning cooking chicken fingers for your appearance on our show.
That's hilarious, man. I don't know that there'd ever be a celebrity where I'd be so starstruck. No. I feel like they'd be offended because they'd be like, why is this guy just normal with me?
Yeah. I'd like to, I don't know about that. I think they probably would like that.
Maybe so.
I don't know if I'd really be starstruck or not. I've not in the past, but
I would think that people that are probably narcissistic probably would be like, why are they not treating me differently? But for me, I look at everyone kind of on an equal playing ground. Like I don't,
one star that I met who was really cool, and I'm sad to hear about his current condition, is Bruce Willis.
Yes.
He was really cool. I got to play a game of pool with him one time. He was really nice.
And Nick was like, that ex-wife of yours is a birth.
I told him because this was just before they broke up, because she was filming The Scarlet Letter in my hometown.
Oh, man.
So, and anyway, that's neither here nor there. He's cool. She's not.
So Demi Moore, you're not invited. But Post Malone, open invitation.
Neither are you, Charlemagne, the loser.
Nick ain't putting up with your crap. This has
been another episode of Celebrity Talk on December.
Oh, man.
But it kind of actually fits.
Oh.
Because there's some star power in this episode, and there's a lot of tie-ins to Hollywood.
Hey, we like that.
And all that kind of stuff. And I've also done two things that we don't normally do in this episode.
Wow. What is that?
Number one, I purposely chose something that we both know about. I know we have, that we both know about it, because you did a little short on it.
Oh.
And number two, I'm stepping into your category, because I don't know if you think back, I don't believe that I've ever done a ghostly thing.
You've never
on this channel.
Nope. It's always been me.
Which I love that kind of thing, but I don't want to go into your turf.
It's not
but
a
I
turf.
decided to this time. Oh, well, good.
You can bring all the ghosts.
We're both going to know about this. It's going to be ghosts. We're both going to know about it, and there's a lot of famous connections. Do you want to make a guess what it's about before we start?
Man, if it's famous connections.
Yeah.
It could be a lot
of things, actually.
Yeah, it could be a lot of things. Like probably the most infamous and famous that had the most star power would be like the Winchester Mystery House.
Oh, no, not that.
That's probably the most, because they had so many different connections with celebrities.
Yeah.
Are you talking about current
this
celebrities?
Has a lot that people don't. More modern. Some of this, I don't know if you're going to know these famous connections, because it's kind of fun, but we'll see. But your guess was wrong. Are you interested in hearing the opening segment, which you'll definitely know what we're talking about?
You best believe. I want to hear it, Nick.
Let's roll the footage.
Freelan Oscar Stanley arrived in the remote Estes Valley with a single hope: to spend his final days amid the fresh mountain air and breathtaking vistas. Stricken with tuberculosis, Stanley believed the crisp alpine air would soothe his ailing lungs, perhaps extend his dwindling days. But what happened was nothing short of miraculous. Each sunrise brought with it renewed strength, and where he had expected to find death, he found life. The rugged beauty of the land, the towering peaks and vast open skies seemed to restore his health. Energized and inspired, Stanley resolved not only to live, but to leave his mark upon this paradise. And so, he envisioned and built the Grand Stanley Hotel, a monument to the modern age amidst the wilderness, where guests could luxuriate in both opulence and the natural splendor that had saved him. Contrary to the famous legends, the land beneath the Stanley Hotel was not cursed by ancient spirits or built upon sacred native burial grounds. Instead, the truth was far more sordid. The land had once belonged to Lord Dunraven, an Irish earl who had swept into the valley decades earlier with schemes of creating a personal hunting preserve. Through deceit and coercion, Dunraven tried to seize lands that had belonged to local settlers for generations, forcing them out under dubious legal pretenses. His actions were so brazen and his reputation so tarnished that he could no longer show his face in the valley. When Stanley arrived, he bought the land from Dunraven for a modest sum, the tarnished history of the place hanging over the transaction like a shadow. Though the land wasn't built on graves, some say Dunraven's ruthless greed left a stain all its own. The violent means by which he appropriated the land, the lives he disrupted, and the lies he spun may have cast a darker legacy than any burial ground ever could. Some believe that the bad blood spilled in the name of his swindles cursed the very soil beneath the Stanley Hotel, infecting it with an unease that lingers to this day.
So familiar?
Yes, it's actually funny. I just did a video on this for my channel. It was like it was the 3 most haunted locations in the world. And that was one of the most
people
haunted.
argue that this is the number 1 in America.
Yeah,
is what they say, but it's debatable.
Yeah, that's butt kiss.
Yeah,
it's got some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's got a lot of cool, different. There's a lot to the Stanley Hotel. There's a ton.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But like when I think of the Stanley Hotel, like there's one spot that's like really, really haunted there. And like the rest of it's got haunting in it versus some places like the entire land is haunted.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They say that the land is what started it here though. But people always say, oh, it was built on native burial ground or all that stuff, but that was all from the books.
Yeah,
that wasn't anything to do with this.
They say that every time.
This was stolen land. I know, that's popular.
It's like the most
was that thing. Popular before Stephen King got a hold of it, or was that?
I don't know, but like every haunted location you look at, everyone was like, "Was it on Native American land?" Because that's how you decide. And I'm like, "Yeah, come on, man, listen, it's not like." You make it sound like skin freaking walkers is all over the place or something. But that's not the case.
Yeah.
Technically, Nick.
No.
One of the most infamous and haunted locations in the U.S. we're going to next year.
I know. I'm looking forward to that. It's been covered by a lot of other people. So I'm talking famous people.
It's been covered by the biggest one right now, Sam and Colby. They just did a video on it.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I think their video has like 5 million views and it's only been out like a very short time.
That's like half as many as we're going to get.
I know. That's exactly
right. That's
still
a lot.
That's a lot. Listen,
right?
they're striving. They're trying.
Yeah, they're trying. Wait till we get there. It's going to blow it right out of the water.
You know what it is? They don't have these shirts like this, Nick. I've got this little shirt on. It's got a Bigfoot holding a rocket and an American flag riding a freaking velociraptor. Like, no, they don't got that, Nick.
If that ain't the most patriotic thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's almost election time, Nick. I was getting ready for it.
I know. Bigfoot for president.
Exactly right. That's why I wore this, Nick. Listen, that's who I'm writing in there. I'm putting that one in as the suggested.
He's throwing his hat in the ring.
That's right.
Unfortunately, it's a hat he stole from a camper.
That's right. I'm going to go in there. Dun, 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 dun. That's how I'm going to do it. That's exactly what I'm going to do, Nick.
He's American. Bigfoot's American. Exactly. He can do it. He's born and bred in the American Northwest. Like,
that is true.
I mean, that's what more can you say about that? He should be going there.
And he's darn near in every state.
Even Alaska. He probably knows all about this hotel.
Oh, I bet he does. He probably hangs out in the backyard. I mean, listen, it's in a location that he'd probably be in. I wonder if there's Bigfoot sightings there. I never looked that up, Nick.
I would have never thought to look that up.
Well, now we have to look it up.
Yeah. I mean, he could be. Like, there's a lot of wilderness here. Like, that's why this guy liked it so much.
Let me see. It's in what? Colorado, right? Colorado?
Yeah. Estes Park, Colorado. I don't know if you're going to look it up that specifically.
I was just going to put Colorado Bigfoot sightings.
Okay. He's been sighted everywhere. I'll guarantee you'll find something.
Bigfoot sightings. Let's just take a little gander, Nick. Bigfoot caught on camera.
That boy gets around.
In Southwest Colorado. Oh, this is the... Remember that last video that came out where those people was on the train, Nick? And they captured what they thought.
Yes.
That was in Colorado.
There you go. That's all. I mean, and I'm sure there's tons more.
I bet he was staying over at the Stanley Hotel, and on his way there, we figured it out, Nick.
You know, people are going to spot him in his travels. Like, people think that there's like tons and tons of Bigfoot. It's just one Bigfoot.
One Bigfoot.
And he just moves around.
One big feet.
Yeah, he's in his retirement stage. So he's like traveling all over. He's a snowbird. Goes south in the winter, north in the summer.
That's where he likes it.
That's right. But yeah, back on the topic of the hotel.
We've been on the topic the whole time.
I can't believe that people. Well, kinda. But I can't believe people are surprised that a guy named Dunraven, Lord Dunraven, was a bad dude.
I mean, he kind of has a bad guy name, if we're being a buck. You know,
yeah, because the Estes Valley, the whole thing was full of people for decades, and it was before those people and during those people. I mean, it was native land as well, but it wasn't a native burial ground like anything like that. But he did so many shady deals that when our fella here come to buy the hotel, when Stanley came to buy the hotel, he got it real cheap because the guy was chased out of the valley. Like, he couldn't show his face there.
That's a problem.
So, yeah, like, you got this whole valley, you want to make a hunting lodge, but now everyone hates you so much.
That's why they can't have nice
even
things.
Show up there.
Can have no nice things. Which reminds me, Nick, one of my dealer buddies, this is related. Yeah. He texted me this weekend and he sent me a car he said that I had to buy for the show. And guess what was on it?
What?
It was a Ghostbusters car.
Oh, how much does he want for it?
It's at auction and it's $2,100.
Yeah. What? That's nothing. You should get that.
It's a bid. The starting bid is $2,100. And I think it goes, I think it's tomorrow is when I'm curious what it sells for. But it's like it looks like a Ghostbusters car. It really does.
Well, I mean, isn't the Ghostbusters car essentially a hearse?
Yes. Essentially.
So it's a hearse. A white hearse.
It looks like it. It's not exact. It's not exactly the same. But
maybe it's like an older style.
So it's the newer cars. So it's what kind of car is this? It's a Ford Flex. I don't know if you know what that is or not.
Oh, okay. I don't really know what that is. Is it a hearse?
No, but it's like a elongated car, kind of like a hearse would be.
Right.
Here, I tell you what, while we're sitting here talking about it, I'll send you a picture of it so you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So they're still making these things, I guess.
I mean, whoever had it.
Oh, yeah.
They put the work into it. It looks like a Ghostbusters.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
And for everyone at home.
That, to me, that kind of screams Ghostbusters, I guess.
Oh, it's got the Ghostbusters logo on it.
Yeah. But like, if it didn't have that, I don't know if I'd necessarily immediately recognize it as the Ghostbusters car.
No, I wouldn't either. It's that red 5 with the Ghostbusters logo on it. And he's like, you got to get this.
If I were getting us a ghost hunting car, I'd get us the Impala from Supernatural. Now that's a car.
You know how expensive that thing would be? That's like one of the most popular cars to get your hands on. Or
a nice alternative is the car that Sam Raimi puts in every one of his movies. That old Oldsmobile.
Yes.
I think it's an Oldsmobile. I forget what it is. But anyway, that would be cool to have too.
And we missed our opportunity. It sold today. Apparently the auction was at 10 a.m. today.
What to go for?
I don't know. He didn't text me that part. I think he's disappointed. I think he wanted to buy it so I could buy it off him. He said, this needs to be the official car of Deceptive Reality / Retraced Echoes.
Well, he should have bought it and donated it then.
Yeah, you should have. Cedric, what are you thinking with your life?
Yeah.
Cedric?
Yeah, what the heck, man? Yeah. We would mention you in every episode thereafter.
That'd be like a sponsor thing you could have done.
Oh yeah,
Free advertising.
We would look for a good sponsor.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. We could advertise whatever business he wanted.
Correct. Well, he owns a car dealership.
Well, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Like, what better way to get the word out than sponsor a podcast that needs a car?
Exactly. We could have pulled up to the Hinsdale house and to the Wildwood
Right.
Center, but we could have put like scratch out like the Ghostbusters logo and put our logo right beside it.
Well, I can edit that in After Effects, so we don't even have to scratch it out.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah. That would be cool. I did that on a video for my friend, and it's real easy.
Oh man, that's fascinating. But anyway, sorry folks, we went on tangent. I'm sorry. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, we do that all the time. If you're not used to it by now, then you haven't been listening.
We don't want you here, no how.
Yeah. But yeah, so this place has got a lot of history. What I really like about this place is, you said before, it has a lot of hauntings. Mm-hmm. It collects them. It's almost like it's trying to fill up all the rooms. Eventually it's going to be it almost.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Uh-oh, Nick. It doesn't know how to help you with the ghost busting.
It's all right. That's the A word. I don't want to say it because it will respawn again. But it's almost like it's living up to the book.
Yeah.
It's like trying to be the Overlook Hotel.
Right.
Like all that didn't really. Well, actually, it kind of existed back when the famous person stayed there and wrote this. Mm-hmm. So I guess we should say Stephen King based the Overlook Hotel on this.
Yes.
But it's become more like the book that it was based off of it. So it's sort of like a cyclical thing kind of going on here.
It really is. You know, the fascinating thing about that location is there is rooms there that are like anonymous for being
anonymous.
I'm sorry, not anonymous. They're known for being, what the heck's the word? This is what happens. This is why you don't take Mucinex before you do a podcast, folks. I'm just putting this out there. It's synonymous. It's synonymous.
Oh, okay.
With being,
or infamous,
or infamous could work too. It's infamous for having rooms that are, we'll call them deadly, is how we'll call it.
Right.
That's what I was going to say, synonymous, because people dies in those rooms. Yeah. Like, I think the most famous one, and I'm sure we'll cover it at some point, is there's one room where a woman, you know, she may have taken some stuff she shouldn't take because she was so scared of being in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Is that not your narrative?
See, I don't have it's not. There's a lot, so I only covered the stuff where I wouldn't necessarily have to mention that kind of thing.
Oh, gotcha.
But we can fill it in between.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know what the first big tragedy that kind of really got the ball rolling at the Stanley Hotel was?
Was there multiple room? Is it a room story?
It is. It's one of the famous rooms.
The famous ones
how
is
that got started.
217, 327, right? 320 or 325, 327 or 325. Now I feel like I'm saying that wrong because 217 is one. I might be confusing the sevens.
401, 217.
Yeah.
407.
A lot of sevens.
But this first story, well, you know what? 7 comes up in a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. But 7's supposed to be a holy number. That's not supposed to be a bad number.
Yeah.
But the first big tragedy they have was the origin of why room 217 was haunted, but also probably a lot of the other rooms too.
Well, room 217 is the tragedy that I was talking about. Miss Massey, do you not have that in your story?
Nope. This one is Elizabeth Wilson. This is in the first couple weeks of the hotel being constructed.
Am I confusing the names? Did she take some sleep helps?
No.
Okay.
No.
Then, yeah, I'm pretty sure
this,
I'm right.
This might have happened later. A lot of stuff has happened in this one room.
Well, and it could be because of that haunting. If I'm thinking right, Miss Massey stayed in room 217. She was so scared. She was drinking all day long.
Oh yeah. No, this is before the room became scary.
Oh, okay.
This is, yeah. So this is
like the
probably
first
why
one.
the room became scary. This is the very first one, a couple weeks after the hotel was completed.
I got you. Okay.
Do you want to hear? So it sounds like you might not have heard this story, which is pretty exciting because it's a big story. Do you want to hear this one?
When I researched this, it was touch and go. Like I hit where most paranormal people search like now. I didn't go too deep into like the history stuff.
I'm telling you, I spent a lot of time with this, and I don't think I've told even a fifth of the stories.
Oh, there's a ton.
I just tried to hit a couple. Yeah, I tried because it keeps building. It's filling the rooms with new ghosts up.
That's
all the time.
fascinating.
I know. I like this because that's a lot of like what happened in The Shining and what happened in Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And I think Doctor Sleep might have taken some inspiration from this first story.
Oh. Well, we got to know what that story is.
Let's listen to it. Yeah, let's listen to it. Play the tape.
The Stanley Hotel rose from the wilds of the Estes Valley as a beacon of luxury and innovation. Its sprawling structure was built with meticulous care, adorned with the finest materials, and furnished to rival the grandest establishments of the era. In a time when most homes still lacked electricity, the Stanley boasted modern amenities like electric lighting, telephones, and even a fleet of automobiles to transport guests up the rugged mountains. Its ballrooms glittered with chandeliers, and its plush rooms catered to the whims of the wealthiest visitors, from captains of industry to celebrated artists. The hotel promised not just comfort, but opulence, offering an escape into the beauty of the Rocky Mountains without sacrificing a single luxury. It was the epitome of modern refinement, a symbol of prosperity amidst the untamed wilderness. But this gleaming jewel in the valley was not immune to tragedy. In the early months of the hotel's operation, strange occurrences began to unsettle its staff and guests. Chief among them, mysterious power outages. For hours, sometimes days, the Grand Hotel would sit shrouded in darkness, the cause of the electrical failures a maddening mystery. With the rich clientele growing impatient, Stanley ordered the installation of gas lanterns in each room as a backup system. It was a practical solution, but one that would lead to the hotel's first great catastrophe. One afternoon, head chambermaid Elizabeth Wilson was tending to room 217 when the gas lantern system failed. Unaware of the gas silently filling the room, Wilson lit a candle to finish her cleaning, and in an instant the room was consumed by a violent explosion. The blast ripped through the hotel, destroying nearly 10% of the entire structure and sending debris raining down across the valley. The aftermath was devastating, and for a moment, it seemed the hotel's golden age had ended before it had truly begun. Amazingly, Elizabeth Wilson survived the explosion, though her escape seemed nothing short of a miracle. A bathtub had been blasted from room 217 and found hundreds of feet away, yet Wilson had been spared the worst of the blast, albeit with serious injuries. She recovered, but her connection to the hotel remained as if something deeper had anchored her to it. When she finally passed away many years later, those who worked at the Stanley began to report strange occurrences in room 217. Doors would open and close on their own. The scent of freshly laundered linens would waft through the air, and guests spoke of an unseen presence tidying their rooms. It was said that Elizabeth Wilson had returned to the Stanley, forever bound to the place where she had nearly perished. a spectral caretaker in a hotel that some whispered had been cursed from the very start.
I bet that has to have something to do with Miss Massey. It has to. That has to be why he added that character in there. Has to.
It could be. I don't know about the Miss Massey one though.
Yeah, you do. I'm wondering if it has to do with. I've never pieced that together, but with The Shining.
Oh, you mean the character in The Shining?
Yes.
The one in the bathtub and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's Miss Massey.
I do know about that. Yeah, but I didn't really see anything in the actual story about that. Was there an equivalent character?
Well, that's how she died, was in room 217. That's how she had her moment. Wasn't that 217? Now I'm going to look it up.
I think it was. See, I think we're getting sort of like the timelines confused because this was the first like strange occurrence at the hotel, but the person you're talking about was scared in the room and did something. No,
I feel like in the movie, unless I'm confusing two people, wasn't that because it was the lady that was seducing the bellhops, right? Wasn't that her name? Miss Massey?
Right. But wasn't that a movie only character?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But Stephen King, when he wrote this book, though, I thought he wrote it based on what was happening to him in his dreams in that hotel.
It was inspired by it. Yeah, but the only dream he really had there was well, actually, I don't want to get into that quite yet. That's in the next segment.
In the past, Lorraine was known to seduce young bellhops or bellboys to her room where they would, do the bellhop dance. In the past,
the bellhop hop.
Exactly. Lorraine Massey would usually seduce the young bellhops to visit her room. She was the wife of the predominant New York lawyer, but is at the overlook of the much younger men underage who was obviously in it for the money. One night, July of 1977, Miss Massey was drinking. Her lover left in the porch and never came back. Ullman offered to call the police, but Miss Massey refused to produce, drank all day in the Colorado lounge. Later, she did her task in the bathroom of room 217. I wonder if that was inspired by that haunting. If there was, I don't know. I always felt like there were like tongue-in-cheek things. Like I always felt like there was a story, but I always felt like there was more to it. Because again, we're talking about 217, and this happened in room 217.
Right, and there's a big bathtub connection. Because I don't know if you caught that, but it flung the bathtub across the whole property.
Right.
But this is the crazy thing. She was at the center of the blast. It was strong enough to blast a bathtub out through the wall and hundreds of yards away. And she survived.
That's crazy.
And not only like she wasn't crippled, she wasn't horribly burned or anything. She came back to work as soon as she got out of the coma.
That's crazy.
Like it put her in a brief coma and she come back to work right after.
That's insane.
Yeah, so tell me how that happens. It destroyed 10% of the entire hotel. 1/10 of the hotel.
See, but I bet he put all that stuff in there. It was all inspired by a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It actually, in the next segment, we're going to talk about his direct experience.
Yeah.
And then he sort of riffed on it after that. But there's other connections. This hotel has been used for other famous things as well. It was I don't wonder if you noticed this or not. Did you ever see the movie Dumb and Dumber?
Yes.
This is the hotel that they met Miss Swanson at.
What? Was it?
Yeah. Yes.
Was they?
Isn't that wild?
See, I'm curious if some of these people's like paying homage to. Like, is there a connection with that story? I don't think it
would be a coincidence with Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I think that people do it just for the heck of it because they never mention it.
Yeah, but sometimes like they'll put stuff in like the backgrounds of things just to kind of.
Yeah.
But like they'll be like.
There could be.
Because they met her there, right?
Yeah, they went across the country or wherever to meet her there to return her.
I wonder
suitcase of money.
I wonder if it ever talked about her room.
I don't think so.
Dumb.
Oh yeah, well, that would be interesting to look up. They'd miss a horrible opportunity if they didn't.
Correct. Stanley
Like,
Hotel. I'm looking
that
it up
would
now 'cause
suck.
I'm curious if they did that. Like,
Yeah.
even if they like mentioned it somewhere, that would be
Yeah.
fascinating. Because they travel cross country,
know.
deliver the luggage to the woman
Yeah.
Lloyd met during his
Right.
job, that
And I
limo
wonder
job.
if they were saying, "Oh, she's staying in 217," and that'd be interesting.
That's why I'm looking up, because I'm super curious. There's an abyss separating
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber and The Shining in the tone and approach, but backstage facts unexpectedly linked the two movies. During the filming, Carrie reportedly stayed in the Stanley Hotel in room 217. However, it's been reported that he only stayed there for a few hours and left, totally spooked by the events inside.
Now that's interesting.
Unlike most who have experienced paranormal activity, Carrie was yet to talk about what he experienced inside the room, but his experience was added to the legends and pushed even more guests to experience the room for themselves. To bring the entire experience full circle, a fan even made a deep fake of Carrie as Jack from The Shining. Ironically, the video ties the films together and turns Carrie into the next Jack, making his real life experience much eerier and pushing his life closer to The Shining. Man, that's interesting.
Huh.
I can't believe
That
they
is
didn't tie it in.
interesting.
It doesn't say that it tied it into like room
Yeah.
217.
It's kind of a remote location. It's really weird that they wouldn't tie it in. Like, it's weird that they'd randomly choose that as the location.
Right.
You know?
It's very weird. Like, it doesn't. They had to be paying some
Yeah.
form of homage, I would assume.
I would assume so. But yeah, man, what a missed opportunity if they weren't saying, well, this tag says she's staying at room 217.
I don't see anything
this
that
hotel.
says that.
Yeah.
But man,
I think they changed the name of the hotel too.
yeah, but even if you change the name, you still leave the reference in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you go,
yeah.
hey, we need to take that luggage up to 217 or something like that. That'd be like, man.
Right.
I mean, we see that all the
Exactly.
time, like video games or other movies, like
Yeah.
Ready Player One. It had a scene from the
Right.
Stanley. In fact, it was a callback to The Shining, technically.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely was. Actually, I remember they had quite a bit in there for that, didn't they?
Yeah, they had
Wasn't
a
there a
lot.
whole event that takes place in there?
There was, yes.
Oh, they called it the Danbury Hotel
Oh,
in
man.
Dumb and Dumber, by the way.
I still would have said
Yeah.
the Danbury Hotel, room 217. That's what I would have said, but that's
Mhm.
me.
They did a Shining miniseries that took place at the Stanley Hotel.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the movie filmed at the Stanley Hotel? I think it actually wasn't.
I don't know. I don't know that, to be honest.
Yeah. But I do know one thing. If you want to go stay in room 217 for the night,
Yeah,
2 years in advance, you're going to have to book it.
that's crazy.
Yeah. A lot of people want to do it. I mean, most people want to do it around like Halloween and that kind of thing.
Right.
Even though there's no particular connection there, but I imagine the veil between the worlds being thin and that kind of thing does it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, but man, how much must that have sucked for Stanley? He built his hotel all this time. It's in operation like a month. And well, this is the weird thing. The power outages, they never explained. They could never figure out what it was doing. So they run all these pipes with gas going through the hotel to these rooms. The head maid lights a candle, blows up 10% of the hotel just like that. Like,
That was not necessarily uncommon back then, though. They dealt with that quite a bit.
no. Yeah. Especially in the remote location. Like, this was considered a marvel that it had power
Right.
and all this kind of stuff.
You know what I find weird, though, is all these
Mhm.
hotels that's always so haunted. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Why? Like, you guys have the one in Canadian land up there.
We've got a few haunted ones.
Yeah, but one of the biggest ones for you guys is the Banff Hotel.
Oh yeah, that's on the other side of the country there.
Yeah.
Actually, we've got a famous hotel that not even a lot of people here know is famous. Do you know the Christmas song? You're a big Christmas fan.
Mm-hmm.
There's a song. What is it? It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the guy who wrote that was staying at our Grand Hotel here, and wrote it about the hotel he was in.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no ghosts there that I know of.
Dang.
Just grungy, just some grungy rooms here and there.
Gotta have ghosts. You gotta have them. See, the Banff,
Yeah,
it's like world renowned for being haunted.
Oh yeah. Yeah, see, I don't know a lot about that one, but
That one,
hotels are common.
I did an entire podcast episode on that one. That one was fascinating. They
Yeah.
have a bellhop there that he died. He worked there like 40 some years and then he died, and he still is in
Right.
the hotel. Like he'll take people to their room, or if they get locked out of the
Yeah.
room, he helps them get inside.
Oh, he's a helpful one. Did he
He is.
die there, or was it?
Nope, he
Oh, he
got
died there.
no, he got really
Oh, okay.
sick at home.
Yeah.
And he got so sick that he
Mm-hmm.
basically had to retire, and then he died. I think he died in hospice.
Yeah.
But what's amazing is people always go
Mhm.
downstairs. They keep a picture of him at the front desk
Right.
because people would come in and they would say, "Man, you guys have just the sweetest little old man up there. It's so cool that you guys have him wear this older outfit." And they show him the picture every single
Right.
time. And they go, "Yeah, that's him." And they
Yeah.
go, "He's been dead for X amount of years." But they
Man,
like,
that's really cool.
he helps them find their rooms because the way the Banff is set up, it's
Yeah.
kind of weird finding your rooms there.
Hmm.
But like
Yeah.
people get locked out of their rooms, he helps them get in the room. They say that he never accepts a tip. He always walks out. He's silent
Right.
most of the time. But yeah, super
Mhm.
crazy story there.
Yeah, a lot of these hotels, the people don't even die in the hotels,
Mm-mm.
but they spend so much time there, I figure is why.
Yeah. Well, it's the
Because
same way with
it's
him.
like a home-like setting.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's same with him. He said it was his favorite job. He had to retire. He didn't have a
Yeah.
choice because he got sick.
Right.
But he worked all the way until he got sick, and he talked about how much he loved his job. In fact, on his deathbed, he
Yeah.
talked about how much he loved that hotel.
You know, it's funny, hotel workers, you never hear of them switching jobs very often.
You don't.
No, like even around here, the people who work in hotels have been working in them just decades.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess that says a lot about the industry.
Yeah, I mean, I've never worked in one, so I can't say what it's about, but I can't think of another industry where places have such retention.
Yeah, that it's definitely up there when you look at all the different places that
Post offices.
post office, yeah, mail workers,
Yeah. Yeah, you'd think those places would be more haunted.
you would. But like when I look at all the places that I've covered, because now like I'm looking on my channel, I've covered,
Yeah.
and I didn't even cover the Shining Hotel. I just had an episode with it in it, but I've covered the Banff, the Banff Springs Hotel. This doesn't technically count, but I covered the haunted Kennebuck Inn.
Yeah.
I covered the Crescent Hotel in Arkansas. That might be the only hotels I've covered, but like that's 3, and I've only got 83 episodes up. So when you consider 3 of them as hotels or inns, I mean that's pretty crazy.
Well, I mean, there's the hotel where Lisa Lamb had her situation. I mean, there was something. I mean, we all speculate there was something weird going on there.
Right.
That's the Cecil Hotel.
Yes.
And that is a scary hotel.
Yeah.
Have you looked into that anymore?
No. I've
like
not.
that. There's a lot of bad stuff that happened there.
Correct. I think there was a lot of stuff that was not uncovered too, technically.
Yeah, I think so too. Another one was the H.H. Holmes Hotel that he
Yes.
actually built it specifically to be a murder hotel.
Yeah, there was so many people
Like-
killed. There's hundreds killed in that building.
Yeah.
He had freaking things you would drop the bodies down.
Right.
And
right.
the family was in on
And
it.
not just the family either. There was other workers that were in on it.
Yeah.
Like that were super loyal to him. They even did an American Horror Story season at that hotel.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was actually one of my favorite ones.
Huh.
It's pretty cool. But yeah, hotels. So my thing about hotels is the workers spend so much time there, and it really is a home-like setting.
Yeah.
So they probably have a lot of good memories there. Plus, hotels are continually occupied. So maybe other locations are haunted, but they're not always continually occupied.
Well,
So
and when they talk about haunted
No.
locations, they also talk about people that bring energies in.
right,
So who knows what
there's a lot
attachments-
of energies that pass through.
Correct. Yeah. And on a constant basis.
Right. Right. I mean, anyone can with a credit card can stay in a hotel. You could get some real vile people passing through there. You could get psychics, which, by the way, the Stanley Hotel has a resident psychic that's there full time to give readings and go on tours with people. Like that psychic is always in the hotel.
That's fascinating.
So that's kind of interesting. Most hotels don't have that I'm aware of.
Did you look up how much the rooms were
Oh.
there?
I didn't.
Hmm.
Have you ever looked that up? Or
No, I've not. I'm
I
curious.
bet
though.
it is an arm and a leg. I bet it is.
But when you consider the
'Cause there's a
price
lot
that
of
we
demand.
pay for the haunted locations, I mean, it's expensive.
yeah.
Every single
Oh,
time.
it is.
Every time I look at these locations to talk about doing like investigations for us, I sit there and I
Mhm.
start singing that song in my head. Is he rich like me? You know, it's like good night, man. You gotta be
Man, you should have been a singer, man.
Man, I should have
You
listened.
love
Hey,
doing
this
that.
whole podcast slash
Yeah.
finance slash everything else I got going on doesn't work. Maybe that'll be my
Yeah.
I'm going unmasked.
I mean,
or masked singer.
maybe you'll end up hanging out with Post Malone.
Maybe. Listen, hey, anything's possible.
Maybe.
I'll be like, hey, Posty.
Post Malone's new song with Bert.
Yeah, me and him, we're on a first name basis. I call him Posty.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But no, it's
so
always
we've
crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, hotels are a popular location, but we've talked a lot about it already. I don't know why I left it to the third segment, but do you want to hear more about Stephen King's relation to this?
Oh, I mean, we've got to have it. It's probably the most pivotal point in the entire story. It's the one everyone knows.
Yeah. Right. And what a lot of people probably don't know is it kind of saved the hotel.
Oh, that's crazy. We got to hear that part.
Yeah. Yeah, let's roll that.
Years passed, and the Grand Stanley Hotel, once the crown jewel of the Estes Valley, began to fade into obscurity. Its once glorious halls were weathered by time, and its opulent rooms now sat largely empty as travelers opted for more modern accommodations. By the 1970s, the hotel had fallen into disrepair, teetering on the brink of closure. But one fateful evening, a young writer named Stephen King and his wife, Tabitha, checked in for a night's stay. It was the off-season, and the Kings were the hotel's only guests, leaving its vast, eerie corridors almost entirely deserted. By pure chance, or perhaps by something more, King was assigned room 217, the same room where Elizabeth Wilson had survived the infamous explosion decades earlier. That night, King had a vivid and terrifying dream. In it, his young son was running through the halls of the hotel, screaming in terror as the walls seemed to close in around him. A fire hose, coiled and seemingly lifeless, sprang to life and chased his child through the corridors. When King awoke, drenched in sweat and heart pounding, he had the seed of what would become his most famous novel, The Shining. It was as if the hotel itself had reached out to him in that dream, refusing to be forgotten, to crumble into oblivion. Some say that it wasn't just the eerie emptiness of the hotel that inspired King, but the spirit of Elizabeth Wilson, ever the caretaker, who refused to let the Stanley fade away. In a strange, almost supernatural turn, the novel's success revitalized the Stanley Hotel, breathing new life into its walls. Tourists from all over the world came to visit the hotel that had inspired The Shining, and with that renewed interest, the hotel was saved from demolition. The story of a haunted, malevolent hotel seemed to mirror the Stanley's own desperate struggle for survival, and it was almost as if the hotel had found, in Stephen King, a way to save itself from ruin. To this day, guests at the Stanley report encountering Elizabeth Wilson in room 217, and her presence is said to be anything but malevolent, at least for couples. She is often seen tending to the rooms, adjusting bedsheets, and sometimes, as if honoring her long-standing role as head chambermaid, she tucks couples in at night. Those who show respect and come with love in their hearts seem to be treated kindly by her lingering spirit. But single visitors tell a different tale. It seems Wilson holds a deep aversion to those who arrive alone. Guests have reported feeling cold hands press against them in the dead of night, or doors slamming shut with violent force. Some even claim to hear whispers urging them to leave, as if the hotel, or perhaps Wilson herself, wants to scare away the lone wanderers who do not fit into the space she so carefully tended in life.
So this kind of fits in with the story you told about Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Because to couples who stay in 217, she's kind, she tucks them in at night, which that would actually also scare me.
Yeah, for sure.
If I was like just getting down to sleep and I feel hands and fingers pressing the blankets in around me, that would bother me still. But people who stay in their room singly, like people who are not traveling as a couple, she hates them. She's I don't know if that's said in the narration here, but people get scratched, bit. She yells at them, slams doors, tells them, like, just straight up tells them to leave.
You know what I find fascinating about that, though? There's a similar story at the Crescent Hotel, and it's about she was a maid, and there's a famous story there where a couple came in, they was arguing in the room, like they were screaming at each other. Right. And I think it was the wife that told the husband he had to go leave, he had to cool down, and then she left. They had unpacked all their bags and stuff, and when they came back, the bags were beside the door, completely packed up again. And they said that the maid did not tolerate couples arguing. But she also tucked people in.
That's interesting. That's like a common one. I do wonder, like, what is her aversion to a single person staying in the room?
Maybe some of the seedy practices of people that are there by themselves.
Oh, it could very well be. I had wondered, and maybe it's a stretch, that she has like a problem with like single men.
Could be
being in there. Like if she had some kind of problem with that in the past. It's I mean, there's no explanation for it, but you could have one of two very different experiences if you stay in that room there.
Yeah, you get a little tucky if you're a couple.
Yeah, which again, scary, but not that bad. But better than being slapped and bit and have doors slammed on you and stuff like that.
So are you saying you'd have a tough time if that happened, Nick?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I probably wouldn't get much sleep if that happened.
Okay.
I know what you're getting at.
I didn't say nothing, Nick.
But yeah, so that was not Stephen King's only experience there. He actually met the ghost of a child on a stairway crying for its mother. And that was not when he was asleep. So he did have a little bit of waking experience there. But what people kind of point out is that if this didn't happen, this hotel would probably have been fallen down or demolished by now.
That's crazy.
And yeah, so this kind of reached out for its own survival. And the funny thing is now it's been around long enough that it's a historic property.
Yeah.
So it can't be torn down. It's a historical landmark. It's on the National Register of Historic Places, recognized for its beautiful architecture and significant cultural history.
Wow.
So you can't tear it down now. But
it saved itself, Nick.
Another interesting. It saved itself through Stephen King, which, by the way, to show how I guess how bad it was doing when Stephen and Tabitha King stayed there. They were the only guests in the entire hotel.
Wow. Could you imagine?
Yep. They had the run of the place, which they said probably helped create the eerie atmosphere that they were experiencing.
Oh, I'm sure.
When I went on my trip to Toronto a few months back, I stayed at the airport hotel before we left.
Mm-hmm.
And there was almost no one else staying in there. And those hotels, like empty hotels, are really weird liminal spaces. You know how on the internet now people are talking a lot about liminal spaces?
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like you're in a different world when you're in a mostly empty hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you've had to do probably a lot of traveling with your day-to-day job. Do you ever end up in those old ancient hotels and just almost no one's there?
No. I mean, most of the time, like now the job I have, luckily I run the entire states, and my state's so small that I can go from one end to the other. But whenever I've had to go out of state for like company things, they've always been like these huge facilities,
mega hotels.
Now, I did work for a company one time where they sent me to like this small little, I think it's called like a micro tail inn or something. Right. And that was horrible. Like that location was, it was bad.
I liked the airport hotel. It wasn't quite at the hotel. It was like in a wooded area, and the hallways, everything had like green colors, and even the lights seemed to be green because it was reflecting off of everything. And I remember like late at night, because I don't sleep a lot at night sometimes, and it doesn't get better when I go to hotels. I was walking down the hallway, and it was just that buzzing sound, the buzzing of lights.
Oh yeah,
that you hear, and everything's green, and I'm looking at my hand and it's reflecting green light on me, and I'm like, it's really easy to feel in those situations that this place is haunted and there's no one in the world to help you if you get into that situation.
That's going to be like us when we go to the Hinsdale. It's going to be the same thing.
Yeah, I'm super pumped for that.
I'm curious what room you're going to choose to sleep in.
The evil demon room. Clearly.
Well,
in the attic.
No, that's Wildwood.
I doubt I'll be sleeping at all.
That's Wildwood. That's our second day. We'll be flying back that day, Nick. The first night is the Hinsdale house. That's the one with it'll bite you, scratch you.
I like that. I like that.
We're staying at the Violent
enjoy
one.
that.
We're sleeping at the Violent
I'll be
one.
doing that back anyway too, so.
You know what? Technically, yeah, you're right. We'll be sleeping at both of them, because Friday night we'll be staying at the Hinsdale, and Wildwood will be staying Saturday. So yeah, you're right. We will be staying at both of them.
Yeah.
At the Wildwood, though,
right,
they tickle your feet on the third floor.
You'll hear me because I am super ticklish. It'll be real creepy because it'll be the middle of the night and you'll just hear up like on the floor above, just in the silence.
I am super curious how Nick is going to do sleeping at these locations. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to be out like a light bulb.
I'll probably be so excited that I just won't sleep. I'll just stare at the ceiling.
Well, I figure we won't go to sleep anyway till like, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the morning or something.
Yeah.
Because we'll be investigating.
I'll probably not sleep the whole time. I'll just be like a zombie.
Yeah, you're going to be dead the next day. You'll be sleeping on the plane on Saturday night.
Man, when I was in university, I would just like not bother to sleep.
Yeah.
A few nights in a row. Now that I'm like an ancient person.
Oh, yeah.
I can't do that anymore.
Dude, I would die. If I didn't have at least 6 hours of sleep a night, I'm dead the next day.
Yeah. I'm not a morning person either. So I hope these aren't morning ghosts. I hope they're night ghosts.
Well, we got to check out at like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of time.
There won't be a lot of morning investigation.
No.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Well, I figured,
I'm not against that.
I think they're going to let us in at both locations like 3:30, 4 o'clock. So, and it'll be 2 hours of setting up equipment. So I did look up though while we was in that segment, the Stanley Hotel. You can stay there for $350 a night.
That I find that expensive.
That's how much we're paying for each one of the locations we're staying at. It's $350.
I know that's expensive. Ghosts cost extra, dude. That's how it is.
I guess
ghosts cost extra.
Well, I feel like that's standard price for a hotel. No.
No. Well, I mean, I'll tell you. Not. Actually, yeah, it is next week. Next week I am going back to Toronto again.
Yeah.
And I'm staying 3 nights in a hotel with flight there and back for a little over $500.
What?
Yep.
I just stayed. When I flew into North Carolina, a few months ago. I think I paid like almost $200 a night, and it was only one night.
That's the normal prices for this, and this is a nice hotel. This is right in the middle of downtown. It's a suite where the bedroom's in a different room. The bathroom has 2 rooms. You got a little kitchenette, all that stuff like that. It's because it's on Expedia, where if you bundle your whole trip together, costs almost nothing.
I hate Expedia.
I love Expedia, but they did not sponsor us, so that's a mark against them.
Well, they are not allowed to sponsor us because they screwed up one of my trips.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And it's very hard to fix it. The way their systems work, not to complain about them, and then I'll jump off this topic. Right. I scheduled the day that I was going to go, but apparently if you don't click a button on their website, like let's say I say I'm flying in on this day, because you book everything, your hotel, your flight, your car, it's all in one bundle. I said I'm flying in on such and such day, right? And I'm flying out on such and such day.
Right.
Because I found the cheapest deal and I'm like, oh, that's a perfect deal. When I clicked on it, it scheduled it for the week after.
Oh, that's not good.
No. So I called them and I'm like, hey, and they said, well, you have to wait 72 hours to cancel and move. And I said,
that's weird.
Apparently that's their law or their rules or something. Apparently, I don't know. Either way, or maybe it's for the air flight. I don't know. Either way, I had to wait 72 hours. So I waited the 72 hours.
Yeah.
And I told them, I said, I don't even understand how that happened, because I put my flight there and the day that I want to fly back. And they said, if you don't click one of the buttons, apparently it will go to the following week.
Oh man, that's a problem.
Because it looks for the cheapest price, but it doesn't unless you're staring at it. You don't know. And I told him, I said, every other company that I go through, if I say I'm flying out here and I'm flying in here, it only gives me prices based on those dates.
Yeah. But they might have took your suggestions into account, because that's how it works now, at least.
This was just like 3 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, this is like 3 months ago.
Maybe the Canadian one works better.
Well, then I told him,
I don't know.
I waited my 72 hours and then they didn't have availability for the flight. So I had to push it back even further. So I ended up calling my job and I'm like, listen, I can't get in there. So I had to wait an extra like 3 weeks to go.
Hmm.
Then I book it again. But when I
Right.
booked it, the hotel wasn't available. And I found out the next day, even though I booked through them, it wasn't available. So then I had to reschedule. Oh, it was a pain. I said, I'll never use Expedia
That does
again.
sound like a nightmare.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe I'll have a different opinion after next week, but so
Let's
far
hope
it's
not.
been really good.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, because a night stay at that hotel is normally 200 and something on its own.
Yeah.
So I'm getting like 3 nights and a flight
Well, that's the crazy
for
part.
a little over 500.
Because of everything that was going on, I had to pay more to correct everything
Yeah. Whew, that's not good.
because I didn't get the insurance.
That's not good.
They said, well, had you got the
Yeah.
insurance, you could have. And I'm like, I said, this is the day I'm flying out. This is the day. I'm
Right.
sorry, I'm flying in. This day I'm flying out. I said, I didn't
Yeah.
assume that you guys would book something a week later. Why would I book those
Yeah.
flights to have this happen? And it was the hotel room. So the flight in and the flight out, they screwed up the first time. And then the hotel, they screwed up the
Right.
second time. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's not good.
But I bet the Stanley
definitely
Hotel
not
wouldn't
good.
do that. I bet it's $349 a night and it's not screwed up.
Right.
Expedia.
It's probably not on Expedia.
Exactly. .com.
Oh. Well, hopefully it works out, but yeah, so it is expensive to stay there, but I guess ghosts are what up the thing.
Yeah, extra $100.
But there's yeah. So there's some other examples of hauntings. Like I said, I only covered like 1/5 of everything that I read, but I've got some more interesting ones that appeal to me in particular. In the next segment, do you want to hear some of these additional stories?
Yeah, it's ghost stories. I'm all about this, Nick.
Yeah, let's do some more ghost stories.
Beneath the grandeur of the Stanley Hotel lies a labyrinth of tunnels and passageways, remnants of an era when it was considered improper for servants to be seen by guests. Built into the earth, these tunnels allowed staff to move unseen, ferrying supplies and tending to their duties out of sight. However, the passageways hold more than just a practical history. One tale that echoes through the hotel is that of a pastry chef who spent his final days baking in the subterranean kitchens. According to legend, he collapsed while preparing a feast and was found with flour still dusting his hands. But death has not silenced his passion for baking. To this day, guests and employees sometimes catch the unmistakable scent of fresh bread or warm pastries wafting through the hotel at odd hours, though no kitchen has been in use. Those who wander too close to the tunnels have reported sudden chills, the feeling of being watched, and worse. Some have been shoved, scratched, or even struck by unseen hands. It seems the old chef, protective of his domain, does not appreciate intrusions into his shadowy kitchen. The Stanley Hotel's eerie reputation doesn't stop with human ghosts. On the grounds lies a small pet cemetery where the animals of past owners and hotel staff were laid to rest. Among them is a family of golden retrievers, beloved by their owners in life, and apparently still devoted in death. Guests have reported the sound of paws scratching at their doors in the dead of night, only to find no dog in sight. Others have experienced strange deliveries, newspapers from decades past left at their doorstep, as if a ghostly paperboy had returned to finish his rounds. Some even claim to hear distant howling or barking from deep within the cemetery itself. Given Stephen King's penchant for weaving supernatural tales from reality, one can't help but wonder if this small, eerie graveyard might have inspired Pet Sematary, another of his chilling novels. The thought of animals returning from the grave, loyal even beyond death, adds another unsettling layer to the hotel's mystique. But not all spirits at the Stanley are as harmless as Wilson or the Golden Retrievers. Some hauntings have a far darker edge. Visitors have reported terrifying encounters, particularly in the infamous concert hall, where shadowy figures are seen lurking in the corners of the stage and strange noises echo in the darkness. One of the most notorious spirits is that of a man known as Paul, a former employee who died while enforcing the hotel's strict curfew. Guests and staff alike have reported hearing his stern voice echoing through the halls late at night, ordering them to get out. Those who linger in the hallways after dark have felt an icy grip on their arms or a sudden pressure on their chests, as if someone or something is trying to force them to leave. In the hotel's ballroom, guests have seen ghostly figures dancing in the moonlit reflections of its grand mirrors, only to vanish when approached. These malevolent presences seem to guard the hotel fiercely, ensuring that no one overstays their welcome or dares to disturb the hotel's haunted past.
You know what amazes me about that one, Nick?
What's that?
If you went back and listened to my Crescent Hotel story, it's almost identical.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
so,
which part or all parts? The Pet
lot.
Cemetery, the
Pet
pastry
Cemetery's not there, but so every single evening they say when you pass by the kitchen long after it's closed, you'll smell bakery items. You'll hear the clinking of pans, and then when you go inside, there's nothing there.
Does the chef like defend the kitchen there as well?
They say that he's very apprehensive if you sneak around the kitchen when you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But one thing
this one's kind of, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say this one's a little more violent because if you are walking about in the middle of the night and you smell like fresh baked bread and you try to track the source of it, as soon as you get near one of the entrances to the tunnel, he'll like slap you. he's like, nope. He's like that bad attitude French chef or something that you'd see in a movie or something like that.
Something else similar though to that story, not exactly the same, but they also at the Crescent Hotel, they have a ballroom, and they say that you will hear people dancing or like groups of people in the ballroom when there's no one there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just like this one. Although you also see them in like the big mirrors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of the malevolent ones sort of lead back to the ballroom for whatever reason. Like there's a lot of other stories not in this that they all go there. Like the Paul one that enforces the curfew, he ends off in the ballroom. The wife of the person who built the hotel plays piano in the ballroom all the time as well. So
that's creepy.
She's sort of stuck in there too. Yeah. Now she's supposedly not malevolent, but there's a lot of nasty stuff that seems to come out from the ballroom. I don't know if that's like sort of like the center of the heart of the hotel or the
still creepy
evil vortex. Yeah.
Piano music, man, that's always creepy.
Oh, I know. That's why I put it in the sound behind this thing. What did you think about the Pet Cemetery? Do you think that maybe inspired Stephen King? Or?
Yeah, I think that definitely inspired Stephen King. I'd be shocked if a lot, because like I say, the fact that when you look at The Shining, when it talks about Miss Massey, like I feel like that has to be something to do with like that haunting, the haunting of the things that happen. And like, I feel like if there's somewhere where it talks about Miss Massey's backstory, there has to be something that has to do with hauntings. There has to be.
Oh, guaranteed that there's something that inspired it. It could be a mix of other characters, like the maid. Like I said, if someone was staying in there on their own, she gets right nasty with them.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's like I said, there's so many hauntings in this hotel. You'd need like 6 hours to go through all of them. And I'm trying to cover them pretty quickly too. But in addition to like this family of golden retrievers that they had for generations that sort of deliver outdated papers, which I think would be really neat.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
you
get dropped off a part of history. Yeah, neat in a spooky way. But also, I mean, it could be a collector's item.
Could be.
You know, you get a newspaper from the 1800s or something like that, or 1902 or whatever. That's got to be worth something.
Doggy ghost drool. Yeah.
Yeah, like some ectoplasm on it or whatever they have.
For sure.
But yeah, they say it's like at night sometimes you can see all kinds of animals in the pet cemetery. Like there's cats running around and dogs and all that kind of stuff, which I would think would be a real cool place to hang out.
Oh yeah, for sure. I could see that.
There's a lot of old stories. Like I know when I was younger, I'd read like a lot of books where the ghost stories were all from like England and London and stuff like that. And there was a lot of ones that involved, dogs in particular.
Oh yeah.
There was one story I remember where a guy was really wicked and he was very protective of his property and actually killed someone who came on his property. So when he died, he sort of was cursed that he would come back as a black dog. And every night he could run and he could take one blade of grass from his lawn and he couldn't rest until the lawn had no more grass on it.
Oh man, good night.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, these are the kind of animal. Yeah, I know, right? That's a terrible curse. But yeah, animal ones are pretty weird. I don't even want to mention our cursed episode with an animal in it.
Oh man. I was just talking about that this week.
Yeah. How were you?
Yeah. This last week, someone else had an issue with one of our previous guests. And
okay.
I brought up that story. I'm like, only twice in our history of doing this, we've had an issue. That episode and the other animal, which we must not speak of.
That's right. No, we'll never say it. I love talking about that, but I don't dare do it when we're recording.
There's no way.
Like, that's just cursed.
Mm-mm.
It starts with a G if you want to look it up, but we're not going to say it.
Right.
Oh. Yeah, but these, I mean, the golden retriever and all those, they're not evil like in the Pet Cemetery ones. For bonus 10 points, do you know what novel Stephen King was working on when he came to stay at the hotel?
Let me see. He went to the hotel in what year?
Let's see if I have that here. It was in the 70s. That's the closest I have here, I think.
If I was to guess, it would either be Carrie.
Okay.
Or the one with the car, whatever that was called. I forget what that was called.
Well, I know there's. What was that called? I keep thinking. I know it's not that. This is the one with the truck maximum overdrive or whatever.
Yeah.
Christine?
Christine, that's it.
Yeah. See, I don't know anything about that story.
What?
Is it good? Is
it's
Christine
a good story.
good?
Yeah. It's not my
okay.
favorite Stephen King novel, but it's up there.
Yeah. What is your favorite?
The Hearts of Atlantis.
Oh, that is a good one. I only
such a good
read that just recently.
Such a good
That's
book.
part of a bunch of shorter books, isn't it?
So what he did was
like one of his short stories.
Nope. So what he did was he wrote the book from every chapter was a different person's point of view, but they all tied in to each other. Like you read chapter 1 and you go, okay, you go to chapter 2 and it's a different person. You're like, wait a second, what happened to chapter 1? Yeah. But then you read chapter 2 and then you get to the end, you go, okay, chapter 3, completely different person. Then chapter 4 goes back to the first person.
Yeah.
But you start seeing the tie-in between.
That's a little bit like Game of Thrones.
Kind of. Yes.
Yeah. The answer to the trivia question was The Stand.
Oh, yeah. That would have been
I like The Stand.
Because Carrie came out.
That was one of my favorites.
What, 70? 70 something, right?
I'm not sure.
I think it did. Steven.
He was busy during that time. He was doing a lot of the C word at that time, so he got a lot done.
For sure. Stephen King's Carrie came out 1974.
Okay, so that was much earlier.
Yep, much earlier. When did Christine come in? Because I think that's around the same time frame. That was 83.
83.
Yeah.
Oh.
April of 83.
And he did a whole bunch of books under the name Richard Bachman too, so I don't know how much this guy's actually written.
Oh, so much. The Stand came out in 1978.
Yeah. So he was writing that when they actually arrived there.
So man, I had a story right before and a story right after. I was banging in the right time frame.
You were doing Battleship. You were like just trying to hone in on it.
Pinpointing it, Nick.
Yeah, exactly.
What was that famous book that he wrote that was like the mythical, magical? It had dragons and stuff in it. What book was that?
Yeah, I have had trouble getting into it, but it's like
I couldn't get into
the Dark Tower and all this stuff like that. Yeah, Eyes of the Dragon, I think was part of it.
Yeah.
I got the audio book of it, and I'll probably listen to it again sometime. But it's when I was younger, I read a lot of fantasy books, and I kind of got fantasied out.
Yeah.
Like I'm not into that anymore. Right. And that squarely falls on that. But I will tell you my absolute favorite book that Stephen King has ever done, and it's one of his more recent ones. Mm-hmm. It is Fairy Tale.
I've never read that.
I think it just came out this year or maybe even last year. And it is a book that no matter how long it lasted, I would have kept saying, I wish there was more of this.
I
was so depressed when it got done.
I think the last book I read of his, was The Dome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. They made a miniseries off of part of that.
Yeah, I heard it didn't do well, though.
No, it was really all over the place.
Yeah. But that was the last one, and that's been a while. I think that book came out probably, I don't know, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that. Feels like forever.
Some of his... Yeah. Oh, it's been a while. But some of his best stuff, his very best stuff, is not horror at all. Like,
yeah, it's not.
The Green Mile is fantastic. The Shawshank Redemption. Fairy Tale's not horror. That's getting real world / fantasy. Billy Summers is about an assassin for hire. Like, there's nothing supernatural in that at all. But in the movie, or in the book, Billy Summers, it ties into the Overlook Hotel, where he looks over to where it's supposed to be because it was gone at that point.
Yeah. And
he still sees it there. So that sort of ties back into all of this.
That's crazy. The Under the Dome came out in 2009.
Wow.
I would not have guessed
Time flies, man.
I would not have guessed it was that old. That was the last book I think I read of his. But I don't have a lot of time to read books either. So
yeah. I've been doing a lot of audiobooks lately. I try to read when I can, but audiobooks on long drives, nothing beats it.
You know what? When we keep screwing this up, Nick, you know we can loan each other books.
Oh, from Audible?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yep, as long as we've got
the lend you Fairy Tale then.
I've got all kinds of books.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Nice.
I can't believe we didn't
have to do that.
Yeah.
We talked about it once, but we never followed through. But it could be like Google Drive, and where we're in a different country, it's going to be like, nah, screw you guys.
I don't think so, because they've got the app and everything. So I think it's probably because like I've loaned a couple of books out to like friends of mine when I talk about a book. The book that I think everyone has to read, like it's a requirement, is the Psychopath Test.
I know what one you're talking about. Yeah.
That's by far.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. It sounds really interesting.
I've got the audiobook of that. I can send it to you. Ron Ronson's who wrote
Yeah.
that.
We'll do a book exchange.
Yeah. You'll probably be mad at me, Nick. I've got 5 credits on Audible right now.
I am mad at you. I use them as quick. So this is turning into a book podcast real quick. It started off as a what was it? Entertainment podcast.
Yeah.
Now it's a book podcast.
Friggin' book
Because I have a fantastic audiobook from Audible right now
club.
by a guy named, I think it's Paul Tremblay, and it's just called Horror Movie.
Oh.
And it's so good that I've been sort of thinking about it while we've been recording. I'm like, man, I can't wait to listen to more of that. But man, I love Audible.
And It. How
Books
did
in
we forget
general.
about It? That's another Stephen King. That's a biggie.
Yeah. And the remake movies for that were spectacular.
They did a really good job on those.
Man, really good job. And neither of the two, the original and the remake, had that super perverted weird ending.
Thank goodness. Good night.
Yeah.
That was so
I had
weird.
always worried that they'd try to do something with that, and I'm like, I don't want to watch that kind of movie.
Yeah. In fact, I think I told Jess that myself. You know they're coming out with another
Yeah.
It movie, right?
Are they? Is
Yeah.
it like a prequel kind of thing?
My understanding is it's kind of like a prequel. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'd also heard they were doing a TV series that was like a prequel kind of thing. So
that's
I don't know
weird.
what's going on with that. But I'm down for all of that. I like that kind of thing. I think it was the first Stephen King book I ever read.
Pet Cemetery for me.
Yeah. There's a really good one on Audible that's really highly rated for Pet Cemetery. It's read by Dexter from the TV show Dexter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But,
wild.
Anyway, let me pull this car back on the road here. We got one more segment that's going to go through some. It sort of just ties it up and it talks about some of the other rooms. But let's hear that. And then if we have any closing statements, we can wrap up the Stanley Hotel.
Let's see what we got, Nick.
Many rooms within the Stanley Hotel seem to have become gathering places for its ghostly residents, each with its own eerie tale. Room 407 is one such space, believed to be occasionally occupied by none other than Lord Dunraven, the land's previous owner before F.O. Stanley. Guests have claimed to see his shadowy figure lingering near the bathroom door. One unsettling account recalls a light in that very corner, repeatedly flickering on and off. The guests, sensing the presence, spoke aloud, acknowledging him and politely informing him they would only stay for 2 nights, asking if he would turn the light back on. To their shock, the light flickered back to life. But peace was not restored. When they later turned off the lights to sleep, strange noises echoed from the nearby elevator, even though it wasn't in use. Some have even reported glimpsing a spectral face peering out the window of room 407 when no one was staying there. Room 418 is notorious for frequent ghostly encounters, often linked to the spirits of children. Housekeeping staff have heard inexplicable sounds from the room and have seen the unmistakable impression of bodies on the bed when the room was entirely empty. Guests staying in the room often speak of hearing children laughing and playing in the hallways late into the night. In one notable instance, a couple checked out in the early morning, frustrated by the noise of children running up and down the corridor all night, though no children were staying in the hotel at the time. Other rooms, like the infamous 217 and 401, also harbor chilling tales of ghostly activity. Tour guides speak of a small child spirit seen by numerous staff members in various parts of the hotel. Even Stephen King himself reportedly saw the child, who was desperately calling out for his nanny on the 2nd floor. Former employees have recounted hearing phantom footsteps and spotting shadowy apparitions wandering the halls, adding yet another layer to the hotel's rich tapestry of supernatural experiences. The hotel, much like the Overlook in King's famous novel, seems to collect those that visit, both good and evil, when they end their days. Also, like the man who built it, the Stanley Hotel fights to extend its own life. Now listed on the National Register of Historic Places today, the Stanley Hotel is open year-round and offers various accommodations, including historic rooms, modern apartment-style residences for extended stays, and expansive condominiums. The Stanley Hotel has stood for centuries and will likely stand for many years more.
So you can actually live at the Stanley Hotel if you want to. They got a condominiums there. That would be kind of wild, but it's still kind of remote. So,
Oh, yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, do you really want to do that?
Nope. I can answer that real quick.
That's right.
No, sir.
Right. I got to have some modern convenience.
Yeah, me
Like
too.
even where I live now, there's things that I wish that we could get around here that we just can't.
Yeah, for me,
So-
15, 20 minutes and I can have anything.
Yeah, like it's 3.5 hours to our nearest city, or actually our only city in this province. I always say 2.5 hours because I drive really irresponsibly when I go up there. I got to correct myself. 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours is how long it takes.
Yeah. See, here it's half an hour, 40 minutes is like the longest you go for anything.
Yeah, no, quite different here. Although for a small town, we've got a lot of restaurants from different places, so that makes
That's
me
cool.
happy. Yeah. But yeah, basically, this hotel seems to have an interest in preserving its own life. It seems like one of those cases where the hotel is the entity. It's not like a ghost haunting the hotel. It's like the hotel is the entity. And it's trying to fill all its rooms. And the kind of thing that I don't know if people think about this or not, but it seems like you could go there, have a good time, and then when you die, you get stuck there, even though you never lived there.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be a good thing, Nick.
No, it wouldn't, especially if you traveled across the country to stay there.
Oh, yeah.
And then you die and you come back as a ghost and you don't know anyone over there
Oh,
or
yeah.
anything. That would be wild. But I mean, a big, lovely hotel. There's worse places you could spend
And it's beautiful.
eternity. Yeah, it is very nice. And I mean, the landscape is nice there and everything.
Yeah.
But probably prefer not to do any of that.
Yeah, no, I definitely, don't want to spend eternity there. That's a negative Ghost Rider.
Yeah. Yeah. And what if you end up having to like share a room with someone?
Yeah.
Because it seems like there's like the maid and some kids that live in 217. So that's no good.
Yeah, they can't have that. That's a negative. That's why
Yeah.
Miss Massey went crazy and did the thing in the bathtub.
Yeah, I guess so.
She got tired of it.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing I think we've made clear already, but just in case we didn't, like I fit a lot of stories in here, but there's probably like 100 separate stories that could be in here.
Oh, yeah.
And some of them might explain The Shining more. Some of them might make this more menacing. I didn't really go that route for most of it,
Yeah.
but I think it's an interesting place, and a lot of people do consider it one of the most haunted places in North America.
Just goes to show, man, we got some of the cooler locations.
Yeah, I guess so.
What says y'all? What says y'all
But-
out in the interwebs? The interwebs, the podcast listening, video feed, every little thing going on. Have y'all stayed at the Stanley? Have you stayed in room 217?
That's what I really wanted to know. Could we get like a comment from someone who stayed there? Did they have any experiences at all?
Or if you work at the Stanley Hotel, can you get us room 217?
Oh, that's even better. Yeah.
I'd be down. We
Give
do
us
the
a coup-
podcast
give
live
us a
from there.
coupon. Man, that'd be fantastic.
Wouldn't it be
Can you
cool?
imagine? Live from the Stanley Hotel,
That
room
would be-
217.
That'd be some amazing advertising.
Yeah, just in time for the head maid to punch me in the eye.
As the kids run down the hall.
Yeah, she's like, get out of here.
Get out here, kids. See you staying alone. I have to take my wife on that one for sure. Screw that. I ain't getting punched.
Yeah, you don't want to get scratched, punched, and yelled at and slam doors on. You don't need that.
No, don't need that in my life, Nick. Trust and believe.
Yeah. But anyone involved, let's hear from you. That'd be fantastic.
I would love to hear. I'd love to get more comments on some of the things that people see out and about in the real world. That's the one thing I wish. What if even
other people who work in hotels, maybe not this hotel, but other hotels, why do you stay there so long? Have you seen anything weird?
Yeah, that's the weird thing. I mean, there's so many different hotel stories.
Right.
A video, not to give anything away. I've got a video coming up talking about some of the most haunted locations that people stay at. And there, a series of them are also hotels. So, that'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah, it's definitely weird, man. It's weird that of all places would be the spot.
Yeah.
Why do I know? I'm just a podcaster.
Explain it to us.
Yes, please do.
That's right.
So everyone in the comments down below, tell us what's going on. What's happening in your hotel? We want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Also, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. In addition to that, if you've not subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting on. What you doing with your life?
Yeah. You're just stealing content.
Stealing content. You doggone thieves. And you know what happens to thieves? You get hit in the back of the head by a maid in room 217. Yeah.
Yeah, and you end up staying in the Stanley Hotel for all eternity.
In the pet cemetery.
In the pet cemetery.
That's right. Well, hopefully y'all enjoyed this episode. Until we see you on the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Settles down. Clerk said room to 17's got a past. Where echoes linger, shadows cast. Lock the door, try to breathe deep. But shadows moved where shadows should creep. Chill in my bones, couldn't shake the vibe. Like someone's here, won't let me hide. Room to 17 where the lost souls dwell. They say it's just a story, but I can tell. I'm wide awake, can't close my eyes. Feels like somebody's here tonight. Candles flicker, walls start to creep. I hear a whisper, soft and bleak. Saw her face in a flash of white. In the dead of night, frozen still, couldn't look away. Her stare cut through like she had something to say. Cold swept through like a winter storm, but her face was gone before dawn. Room to 17 where the lost souls dwell. They say it's just a story, but I can tell. I'm wide awake, can't close my eyes. Feels like somebody's here tonight. Footsteps echo down the hall. Laughter fades, then nothing at all. The ghosts, they linger, they play their games in the Stanley, they'll never change. Room to 17 where the lost souls dwell. They say it's just a story, but I can tell. I'm wide awake, can't close my eyes. Feels like somebody's here tonight.